Hey everybody, welcome back to Illiterate Book Club. I am Matt.
I'm John.
And this is going to be our review / discussion of The Mandalorian.
At least the first episode.
Yes,
because that's the only one that's come out.
That's the only one that's come out.
We just watched it.
So it's going to be like a spoiler discussion along the way. Because,
sure.
I mean, you know, if you
it's
got
out,
Disney
it's
Plus,
available. If you don't have Disney Plus, like some people, me,
then you come over to my house
and you watch it with someone you know who does have it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you wish you could steal the password, but
No.
I think Disney is quite.
No, I'm fine. Disney, you keep it. Anyway, Mandalorian. First thoughts.
First thoughts. I thought it was really good. It was short.
It was short. Like, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
If that?
Yeah, because I think it was like 36 after, credits and all that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, but overall it was a good, taste, but I do hope that they extend the episode length.
Maybe go for like an hour, 45 minutes maybe?
5 minutes, an hour, like a Game of Thrones type episode, I would prefer. But yeah, I mean, it was a good, introduction into the world, introduction into the characters. I did think there was, a little bit of silly type moments. Did you get a little impression of that?
A couple. I mean, it kind of felt they did some stereotypical Western things.
Yeah.
Especially the opening part. He goes into a bar or saloon.
Right.
And has this dude who's smack talking him in some alien language and trying to pick a fight with him, and then he kills him.
I wish he could have been can I get your picture?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, it had those moments where it was they kind of really pressed on that Wild West bounty hunter sort of trope from the old school movies.
I don't 100% personally mind that because I think that's somewhat what they're going for.
Well, sure. As long as that's not going to be the norm, right? I mean, I think the later parts. They kind of found a little bit better pacing. Yeah.
One thing I thought that was kind of super cheesy, I guess, was
him riding a alien beast.
And that whole get on.
Unnecessarily goofy. Didn't really serve a purpose for the story.
Right, it didn't, and it was also kind of a weird little. They're kind of establishing him as some badass character, and then it's kind of watch him fall off this horse thing.
Let's make him not
badass.
Essentially.
And I'm not saying he has to be great at everything, but
right.
He should be great at everything.
They had him do this even the opening fight scene wasn't. It served the purpose, but it wasn't oh my goodness, this guy's a real bad. It didn't really have the impact as similar scenes, and mostly because that scene's been overdone, right? It's a stereotype for a reason.
Yeah,
and so it did it effectively, but it didn't do it really well to me.
Right. I thought the robot was excellent. The
IG, the assassin,
and I think that's who Taika was playing. I believe.
You think that was him?
I think that was him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't catch that in the credits, but
I know he was credited, and he's going to be directing some episodes.
Well, that'd be cool. I mean, and I think there's a lot of room to grow. Pilot episodes are notoriously not representative of the shows as they develop, right?
Right.
And
that's kind of known, and that's one thing that I heard people say that. You can kind of tell this was a proof of concept that they were delivering. Right. Oh, look, we can do this for this budget. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
And so, I mean, as far as that goes, the effects were
excellent.
Good. I mean, the world building, as far as the backgrounds and the planets, the ships. Yeah. And they did use CGI, but there was a lot, most of it was practical. It felt
cool. Yeah. It felt gritty. It felt real world. Yeah. Of Star Wars. You know what I mean?
And to me, I kind of mentioned as we were watching it, it had that sort of Firefly Serenity feel as far as space, Wild West kind of mashed together.
It did. And honestly, his voice for some reason has reminded me of Nathan Fillion.
A little bit. I mean, he's carrying that sort of cowboy swagger.
Right.
He cadences his speech, even though he has that digital modulation to it.
I definitely think at some point they are going to have him take off his mask, obviously, because you don't get someone as Pedro Pascal, I don't think, just to do a voiceover.
Well, perhaps not. I mean, but I think at this point it's still establishing.
It's going to be a build up, I think,
and there's going to be a big deal about it because there is this. I mean, they did establish the mythos of the Mandalorian, and so they gave you little dabs. And I think those were the best parts, where it kind of showed this one character who represents a remnant of the old empire.
Yeah.
And then it showed them forging a piece of armor with the Mandalorians and kind of talked about how there's not many of them left.
Yeah.
And so there's all these kind of clues into where they're going to take this.
Yeah, for sure.
That I think could work really well. But
yeah, absolutely. And overall, I'm kind of throwing out some of the negatives more than the positives. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think it was a fun.
And I think, like I said, the pilot is not.
Right.
We aren't holding it to harsh criticisms. We're going to, for me, I always like to go through an entire
it's not as great as the prequel was.
Obviously. You better watch out there.
We're going to get all these prequel lovers on.
Or just general shade.
Yeah. But no, it was very enjoyable. At least I'm intrigued and excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, definitely. And they seem to be hitting the important notes. The effects are good. The writing, although there were those kind of goofy and kind of stale moments, in general it was an enjoyable thing to watch.
Yeah,
and
for sure
it carried a good story with it, and it had a good little twist at the end of it.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm interested to see kind of more of what that's about exactly, because I wonder if there's going to be a little more to it than I guess we can talk about it because it's a spoiler, but seeing the Yoda race. There,
the Dagobah.
Yeah, I just wondering what if. I don't think it's gonna be like his child or anything. Obviously, you know what I mean.
Well, you don't know that there's obviously something significant about this 50-year-old childish looking creature,
and that's going to be
figure.
Or maybe they're all notoriously great with the Force. Who knows? I don't know. If that
there are those elements that if you're a fan of the extended universe, but again, Disney's pretty much like we'll use what we want and throw away the rest, and so there's no telling where they're going to go with this.
Yeah, who knows? But
I did notice it was written, and Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Was heading this up, so I have good expectations because I generally like things he does.
Yeah, and so one quick note, and I think that I heard somebody talk about this, and I feel like it really does kind of explain after you've watched this first episode. So it's Jon Favreau is like the showrunner, but he's working with somebody named Dave Filoni.
Okay.
So Dave Filoni is kind of was George Lucas's apprentice to a certain degree.
Right.
He did the Clone Wars cartoon and the Rebels cartoon, but he's never directed live action.
Right.
And this was his first debut into live action. And I think a lot of people had kind of said some of it kind of feels animated. You know what I mean? There was some, and especially getting on the thing and the first character
there was some,
and everything.
Yeah, the kind of sillier comedic moments.
Yeah, that
because even in that shootout with the IG-11, I think.
Right.
But it was, that had that humor pacing to it.
For sure.
There was a shootout going on, but it was comedic in the execution.
But I do see that this could almost be like a Firefly, and if that's the case, that's excellent.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it. I don't mind humor. I don't mind having comedic moments. It's just, it's tough to strike that balance.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I don't think we should beat a dead horse. We're not going to really give a score to it, but just we're excited about it.
Yeah.
It was a good little entry.
We'll keep doing update videos since it's releasing episodes week by week instead of it's not like Netflix with the episode dump.
Right. Which I think is a smart move, just because you can kind of get that water cooler excitement, kind of like Game of Thrones did. It stays in the zeitgeist for longer. So sometimes things.
We don't know. I don't speak Pig Latin.
But they are releasing 2 episodes this week, so one on Friday. I don't know if he'll be able to join me, but I'll definitely do a kind of little recap myself. And I don't know if this is going to be a Friday to Friday show or a Tuesday to Tuesday show.
Well, we'll figure out and settle into a routine here. And anyway, let us know if you've seen it. What do you think in the comments below?
Be sure to like and subscribe and do all the stuff.
Watch those other videos that are linked somewhere around your screen, around you.
And appreciate you tuning in. See ya.